Hey everyone, how we doing, Econ Nation? I want to bring you through Chapter 13. So I'm trying a new device here. It's the Apple iPad Pro. I've been having challenges trying to get this graphs done. So I'm going to try it out and see how this works here. I do have everything color-coded, as you can see here. I'm basically mirroring my iPad Pro into my computer screen and recording it. So as you can see, the marginal cost is in orange, and here is my marginal cost graph. I actually graphed that. You guys are going to graph this on your own in a little bit. Average total cost curve here is in purple, average variable cost in green, and average fixed cost in red. All right, so basically what I did is over here, this is actually in our textbook. This is our textbook example. And in Chapter 13, the 7th edition, page 266 through 269. All right, so here is all the equations. I had them filled out for you. So your total cost is going to be your fixed cost plus your variable cost gives you your total cost. So here we have $3 plus 30 cents gives us $3.30. Okay. Our average variable cost is going to be our variable cost, our fixed cost. Our average fixed cost is going to be our fixed cost divided by our quantity. So over here we have $1.50. So we're going to take our fixed cost, which is $3, and we're going to divide that by 2, which gives us $1.50. All right. The average variable cost is going to be your variable cost divided by your quantity. So we have our variable cost here, $1.50, divided by our quantity. $1.50 divided by 3 gives us 50 cents. All right. The next one is our average total cost. Our average total cost you actually can compute two ways. You could just technically add your average variable cost plus your average fixed cost. So if I just added my 75 cents plus my 60 cents, I get $1.35. You can do it that way. Or the other way you can do it is based on our equation down here. Average total cost is your total cost divided by your quantity. So you can go ahead and also take your total cost, which is $5.40, and divide that by your quantity of 4, and you would get $1.35 as well. Both equations will give you the same answer. Now the last one is our marginal cost. That's obviously very important. At the margin, we look at how much our costs are increasing at each additional quantity. That's increasing. We should know that why this marginal cost curve is increasing is because of diminishing productivity. All right. As we start to produce more and more, our labor becomes more scarce. It becomes more crowded. Our whatever it is becomes land or resources become more scarce. So our productivity is decreasing. So this diminishing productivity as we produce more quantity on this axis starts to increase. All right. So we're becoming less productive. All right. And that's what we're really ultimately trying to figure out. Our marginal cost is trying to tell us how do we minimize our costs to be as profitable as possible, because as that diminishing productivity over time continues to go up, as I start to bring down, I'm bringing down my costs here because of economies of scale. All right, economies of scale is where, say I have a machine and it's producing things. Well, as that machine starts to produce more and more things, it's spreading out my costs. All right. So as I originally purchased these fixed costs like the machine, and then I start to produce more and more quantity, that brings down my cost. That's called economies of scale. Scaling a business is a very important business, so you should understand this concept of economies of scale. Now at some point that economies of scale starts to flatten out. As we see here, the average total cost and average fixed cost starts to flatten out. And this average variable cost keeps going down because of scale. All right. Now another thing that's going to happen is this is average total cost is going to start being brought up. Now originally this, if you look at this part right here, the total cost is always, the average total cost curve is always going to be higher than your average variable cost curve and your average fixed cost curve. That makes sense because it's your average fixed cost plus your average variable cost that gives your average total cost curve. So you're always going to see your average total cost curve above your average variable cost curve and your average fixed cost curve. Now originally the average total cost is most influenced by the average fixed cost over here. Alright, so this actually is being pulled down because of your average fixed cost. But over time, the average variable cost curve actually starts to influence the average total cost curve more. Okay, now most importantly what we're trying to find is the minimum average total cost curve and the efficiency scale. The minimum average total cost curve is where your marginal cost curve, okay, here our marginal cost curve, and where our average total cost curve cross. So that point is going to be, let me erase this here. That point is going to be right, didn't mean to do that. That point's going to be right there. All right, so that's our average minimum cost. All right, and that cost is going to be about, if we look over here, it's going to be about $1.30. That's the average, the lowest cost I can get my cost down to per unit. All right, so obviously that's really important. We want to keep that cost as low as possible. And then this average total cost curve starts to go up, so my costs start to increase. Okay, so it's brought down here. It hits a bottom down there at $1.30, and then it starts to go up. Now my efficiency scale is actually within this range here. It's about at 6. All right, so our efficiency scale is right in here. And if we can fit that in there, our efficient scale is right in there. So ideally our efficient scale is at about 5 to 6 quantity. And our average minimal cost is $1.30. All right. The one thing I haven't done yet is calculate that marginal cost for you. So if you look over here, the marginal cost is change in total cost. So if we come in here, it's going to be your change in total cost divided by your change in quantity. So your change in cost, total cost is here, $7.80 minus $9.30 divided by your quantity of 1 will give you, let me look that up for you. So we can fill this in for you. Marginal cost is also on the margin, means it's in between. So as I graph these marginal cost curves, you'll notice that they're in between the 1 and the 2, because at the margin is what the value of each additional unit is. And another thing, your textbook will write it in between 2. I recommend that you write these in between 2. So if you do the calculations, you should get 30 cents, 50 cents, 70 cents, 90 cents, $1.10, $1.30, $1.50, $1.50, $1.70, and $1.90, and $2.10. All right. So again, if we wanted to do this mathematically, $12 and or $15 minus $12.90. Let me do that real quick for you. 15 minus $12.90 equals $2.10. All right, and then $2.10 divided by 1 gives me my $2.10 number. All right, and that's what I graphed over here. The $2.10 is right there. All right, so just to recap, I know this is a lot of information here. Over here we have the equations for you to calculate your table. All right, I pretty much filled that in for you, but you will have to calculate this on your own. We do this in my face-to-face class, and I want my online students to do this as well. All right, so I'm going to try and keep the quality of my online course, trying to keep it as high as possible, similar to my face-to-face courses. All right, so your average variable cost, again, just to recap, is average fixed cost is fixed cost divided by quantity. Average variable cost divided by quantity. Average total cost is either your average variable cost plus your average fixed cost, or your total cost divided by quantity. And most importantly, your marginal cost is your change in total cost divided by change in quantity. Now, by reading this graph over here, again, economies of scale brings down the average total cost curve and the average fixed cost because you're spreading out your cost. The average total cost curve is initially most influenced by your average fixed cost curve, but over time the average variable cost curve starts to influence that more. Your average total cost curve should always be higher than your average variable cost and your average fixed cost because they're a combination of both. Now, the most important thing that you want to find on here is your average minimum cost. That's where you can produce at the cheapest possible price. That's $1.30. And also your maximum quantity. That's going to be your most profitable point. All right, you still can produce more with total profits going up, but your highest profitability, and we really care about how being most profitable, would be at your average minimum cost, which is $1.30, and your best quantity would be about 5 or 6 or so. All right. Now, it's very important that you read the chapter the best you can. This is complicated concepts that I'm trying to do my best to illustrate based on the iPad and the videos and whatnot. If you have any questions, you're more than happy to email me. Sometimes it may be best that you come to my office hours so I can explain it in person. Thank you very much. Have a great day.